Tires matter. They're the only part of your vehicle that touches the road. Tread confidently with new tires from Tire Rack. Whether you're looking for expert recommendations or know exactly what you want, Tire Rack makes it easy. Fast, free shipping, free road hazard protection, convenient installation options, and the best selection of Yokohama tires. Go to TireRack.com to see their Yokohama test results, tire ratings, and reviews, and be sure to check out all the special offers. TireRack.com, the way tire buying should be.
At Capella University, learning online doesn't mean learning alone. You'll get support from people who care about your success, like your enrollment specialist, who gets to know you and the goals you'd like to achieve. You'll also get a designated academic coach who's with you throughout your entire program. Plus, career coaches are available to help you navigate your professional goals. A different future is closer than you think with Capella University. Learn more at capella.edu.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Nerding Out on Neurodiversity, the podcast for all things neurodivergence. I'm Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist and professional speaker, and I'm happy to be your host through the wild trails of the neurodivergent world.
And I'm Jake Noonan, educational coach and humanities teacher, your co-host and producer, and I'm thrilled to help share the stories and the experiences of wonderful people in the world of neurodiversity.
We're really excited for today's guest, which we are going to say a lot because we're always really excited about every guest we get. So let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Nerding Out on Neurodiversity. I'm your host, Dr. Matt Zakreski, clinical psychologist, professional speaker, published author, wearer of many hats. And with me, as always, is my co-host, the pork chop to my Doug Funny. That would be Mr. Jake Noonan. Yes, I went with pork chop, not Skeeter, because I thought that was funnier. Hi, Jake.
Hi, it's also even better because I like pork chop better than Skeeter, so.
There we go.
It's also wonderful to be here. I'm super excited, as always, about our guests, plural, today. This is our first four-person podcast interview.
I'm nervous.
Sorry. But before I introduce them, I do want to just say that I didn't even meet these people yet. Jack, my fiance, did at a conference, and then we got in touch afterwards. So she told me that they did some incredible work, and talking on the phone with them, 100% agree. But I want to throw it over to both of them. So Brandon and Tanya, do you guys mind just introducing yourselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure to be on the podcast today. My name is Brandon Boston, and I'm the founder of the Boston Group. We're a consulting group that really has the mission to bring light to light neurodiversity and the use of artificial intelligence in the classroom to reach all learners. And, we have some workshops and some services that we provide really kind of all constituents around the educational community. We're really, really excited to be here today. And I am by no means the brains of the operation. So it's way more important to introduce my co-founder here. So go ahead, Tanya, go ahead and introduce.
Well, thank you. Hi, guys. Really happy to be here. Thanks for having us. My name is Tanya Lynch. I've been in education for 22 years, principal, teacher, all those kind of things. And just, this is what I'm really passionate about, like being a part of the Boston Group and helping teachers and school communities, anywhere that anybody that'll take us, to really get our message across and help to create accessible learning environments for everyone. And that's our mission.
I mean, I love it. You guys are so aligned with what we do, and especially that we'll go with whoever will listen to us, because that's like, there are no small audiences. There is no small school. It's just people who need help. And, I've spoken to rooms of 4 parents, and I've spoken to a room of 4,000 parents. So, as long as the people who want me are somewhere in between those two numbers, I'm probably going to be okay. So, you guys, between the two of you, I think you've had every single job in education. I think if we're doing educational career bingo, you'd win. So Tanya, let me start with you, right?
Sure.
How does your educational journey like, how did that impact the work you do for the Boston Group? Like, why does that connect to this?
Yeah, for sure. So again, been in education for 22 years, started out as a classroom teacher in the elementary school, taught first grade, third grade, fifth grade, moved into administration at that point as an assistant principal, and then made this like massive jump to high school, which is, crazy. Now I'm a principal of a high school. But I think the biggest connection to my work now, other than my education and my background and my kind of experience is, when Brandon and I met, both administrators at the same school, and just became friends and started to share our stories of like our own learning journeys, we realized that like we both got into education, or at least, I'll speak for myself. I'll let Brandon speak for himself, but, got into education to like create environments that were different than the ones that we experienced. Right. And, school for me was like not always super easy. I had to really like get in. My parents had to really get me involved in things to keep the structure. I took 5 dance classes a week. I had to stay busy. Reading was tough. Sustained attention was tough. Like, it's funny that I'm a principal now because, the way school went for me, I had to work really, really hard. And I just think that and don't get me wrong, I had some incredible educators in my life, some great teachers who really understood me and pushed me forward. But I just think if the general population, was able to work with me a little bit differently, I just might have had a better experience. And that's what I want to create for other students. And I think that's what connected Brandon and I the most was that common sort of, story.
Wow. All right. Brandon, how about you?
Well, I mean, I think for me, much of education and much of life has been driven through relationships. That's really been the bedrock of, who I've become as a person. And it's really just been my goal to push that forward with anybody that I've met around me. That's been really like my driving force. I'd say it's been the first thing that really got me into education when I was in, when you're young and you're in college and you're trying to think of what you want to do, you really have no idea, what's going to transpire in the world and let alone in your life. So, for me, it became like education made sense. Others had helped me get to the place in which I was at that point. So why wouldn't I give it back to, those who kind of came after me? That's really the reason that I got into education. And then once I was there, it was really built for me. I genuinely enjoy creating and being a part of learning environments, right? Like, that's, I think, the critical point is, being an inclusive member in those learning environments. And I think, Tanya nailed it on the head. Like, by no means was learning any bit of easy for me. I am an attention maniac. It'll be very hard for me to stay attuned on this podcast for the entire time. But, it's that combination right there that then drove me to take the next step, become a teacher. And then, after becoming a teacher, it seems like a natural progression, but Tanya and I have talked oftentimes that it's not traditionally a natural progression to go directly from the teaching role into administration. The skill set is actually incredibly different. You can bat with 95% success in the classroom, and sometimes you're lucky to hit 50% success on a good administration day, and it's really just a very different skill set to connect with kids versus to manage adult personalities and all that comes with that. So to say I wasn't the most thrilled by school-based administration, I was very involved with the kids, and then in turn super involved with their families. And I ran a boutique program. Lighthouse Point Academy is embedded in North Broward Preparatory School, and it's one of the to that point, is one of the best places that you could get what we call a school within a school education. So you'd have like a mild learning disability, attention or learning issue. And it was a place where you could have really this small class environment and run a college prep curriculum, but not be taken away from the amazing social experiences that come with school, right? To be a part of athletics and fine arts. It really was an incredible environment. And I was all in. Like you've probably read on my bio, I really did everything at that school that, student government advisor, athletic advisor. And it was really a trip to Tanzania that changed my life. I was on a service learning trip to Tanzania, and I'll butcher the name and the kids will make fun of me, Lake Natron. And it was, you walked for about 30 minutes in this muddy water until you came across the lake. And it was this beautiful scene. I mean, probably 200 pink flamingos. It was incredible. It moved many of us to tears. And like in that moment, for some reason, there's something in my gut told me that I wasn't doing exactly what I should be doing. I'll never forget that. I came back and talked to some great mentors that existed in my life. And I had remembered summer camp. And I don't know if Dr. Matt or Jake, I don't know if you ever went to summer camp, but summer camp hits different. And it was an opportunity came across. At the time that I was a school-based administrator, I was running admissions in places like Kazakhstan, Russia, and Ukraine, bringing kids to our international boarding experience. So we had an amazing summer camp, Eagles Landing Camp, that already existed, and we wanted to bring international kids to it. So we said, why not do this? So I came back to the summer camp world. Jake, I see you, laughing and smiling. I know you must be a summer camp guy.
Always.
Those who are listening will know exactly what I'm talking about. You grow up at summer camp, and you really, really do. And I have fallen in love again. For me, I'm kind of running a tandem thing right now where in the summer I get to run this amazing experience. I bring kids from all around the world. We do some English lessons, some global leadership through the UNESCO Global Goals of Sustainable Development. And then the kids get to go to all these amazing experiences. We're in the middle of South Florida, so we run trips to Disney, to Universal. And then outside of that, I've created something with Tanya where schools want us to come. We've built, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, we've built these workshops that they transform school communities. We have people that back us in saying that. I feel very confident, publicly saying that. And we're on the road a lot, going from school to school, doing workshops, whether it's executive functioning workshops with middle school students or embracing neurodiversity, neuro-informed universal design for learning for teachers, or really just parent workshops where we're, talking about the future of education and how we can make this thing a little bit brighter for our kids. So, now that you've heard kind of both Tanya and I talk, I hope you understand, like, there's alignment there. We're super, super driven. I don't wake up and not want to see today, man. I jump out of bed, and I'm really excited for what's going to come. And that's how opportunities, like this come, a conversation with your wife, Jake. And now we're sitting telling our story on a podcast that's going to be broadcast to, thousands of people out there. So it's an absolute pleasure to be here. And that's who we are, really.
It's so funny because I was looking at the website and I'm like, man, these people, they're distractingly attractive. This isn't a video podcast, but trust me on this one, guys. Our guests today look like they could like selling Sunset, like selling schools, right? Like it would absolutely, the promo would sell itself.
Thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you for taking the compliment. I was like, okay, hold on a second, but are they real? I mean, clearly they look the part, but then I dug into the bios and then I poked around online. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the thing. A person who doesn't mean this doesn't go to Tanzania, right? You could write the check for the group that goes to Tanzania, but 30-minute walk through the mud, right? There are no high school principals, especially in South Florida, who don't know the grind, right? But that's the thing. It's whatever shape the grind takes, we are all on the same team. We're all on the same mission. And I think you can't really advocate for something if you don't love it. And loving it doesn't mean it can't be fixed, right? Loving things is imperfect. We're just trying to find the places we can fix things and make them better.
So true. Great definition.
Also, just want to say, in terms of camp, on Monday, so we're recording this on a Friday. On Monday, I'm flying to Grand Rapids, Michigan to speak at the Midwest Camp Association conference. So I was like, oh yes, I do love camp.
Wow. Yeah, that is incredible. I have to give a camp plug. I think, in school, what happens is you're often compared, right? It's where's my class rank? What's my GPA? What schools did I get into? And when you're at camp, it's everyone's around each other, and it's how can I make the people next to me the best versions of themselves? And when you're an adult, what I can say with confidence is you haven't been in an environment like that in a very long time. And being in an environment like that is just it can catapult you to just incredible heights. And it does it for the entire camp community. We like to always say for the kids, but every one of us, administrators to staff members, everyone grows each summer. You learn a little bit more about yourself and your limits and all those things. So it's I'm glad to hear you say that, man, and super thankful of you giving that speech.
I love that idea. I mean, I've never thought of it that way, but it's absolutely like school's like, if you want to go fast, go alone, but camp is if you want to go far, go together. And I think that's a really cool thing.
All right, I'm still that, Matt. I'm sorry.
I'm going to write that down for you.
That will be in our workshops for the next school that we're coming with.
Fine, we'll go on tour together if you insist.
Let's do it.
That would be a good tour. Let's be honest.
That would be a great tour, right? Jake, I've been rattling on. You ask a question, man.
I have so many for both of you. Ooh. I guess first, I just want to go a little bit into the workshops that you guys do, because I know that, again, we were talking a little bit, when Jack met both of you, she said that your workshop was, incredible. She's like, every single school needs to have this kind of workshop there because of what they did and how they actually made people realize, what it actually feels like to have some aspect of, neurodiversity. So
yeah,
I was just wondering if you guys can talk a little bit more on that, just in general.
Yeah, absolutely. See, I'll kind of outline it, and then you speak to it. So
sure.
You give it a detail. There's a theme to all of our workshops, and it really just depends, where you are in the school community. We have something. The one that you're talking about right now is kind of our hallmark workshop. That's the one that we give at pretty much all the conferences, and the first one that we give at schools, and then those thereafter. And it's called Embracing Neurodiversity, and really, the hallmark piece of it is that I think as educators, right now, if you're a teacher and you're standing in front of a classroom, what you're feeling is the diversity of that classroom is shifting beneath you. And everywhere we go, without fail, international or here, domestic, it does not matter. Everywhere we go, what teachers and educators are telling us is just that the level or the amount of professional development to match that, it's not matching right now, right? They feel as if they're behind. And that really is what sparked this. That right there is what kind of sparked, how can we do this? How can we come into these schools and really help teachers feel like they're on solid ground again with the kids that they need to teach? And that's where Embracing Neurodiversity came from. And it's really a two-part workshop. Tanya's going to tell you a little bit more about it. But the first part is about putting our participants through simulations. You actually feel, what it feels like to have your attention robbed from you, to struggle to listen, read, or write, to have really, really, really tough time completing some math problems in a simulated classroom. And then from there, everybody wants to know next, right? Then you're hooked. It's like, what can we do to help really educate our entire community? And that's the fun part. And that's when we give a series of different strategies that are bucketed quite appropriately to match the simulations that the participants just went through. So it really kind of hits all of the hallmark areas from executive function, attentioning, reading, writing, listening, and general wellness. And Tanya's going to really talk a little bit deeper about how we execute that and really get our participants to leave saying some of the things that your wife said, Jake.
Yeah, well, so the simulation piece, I think, is the hook, right? Because really the goal of that is to help the participants to build some empathy. Not every teacher is like Brandon and I. Some teachers got into teaching because they loved school and they were really good at it. So to put them in the shoes of someone who struggles with their ability to read, write, listen, and attend in that type of kind of intense time frame, it's powerful, right? And, we always kind of start with the caveat of, has anybody seen Saturday Night Live? Because we are caricatures of educators, right? And we do things that we all do unintentionally or subconsciously that we think might motivate a student. And it might motivate certain students, right? Saying certain things or doing certain things might motivate certain kids. But when a child is struggling, some of the things that we do can demotivate them, right? Or add anxiety or increase their cognitive load. And so the simulations are designed to really do that in a very intense, fun way. But at the end of those simulations, people start to just kind of self-reflect and
debrief.
Yeah, like, empathize with the kids that are struggling in their classes. And a lot of times some light bulbs go off, like, wow, okay, that I feel this, I see this. And like Brandon said, the next thing is like, okay, we're all on board. We all agree this is difficult and a challenge and really important. And so like, how do we fix this? Or what can we do, to help and support? And the second half of the workshop is broken up into those categories, right? So reading, writing, listening, attention, executive function, and wellness. And we go through very specific, actionable strategies and or tools that we've kind of curated, discovered, developed over the years that we know work. And those are bucketed into no tech, low tech, and high tech. And so it's just like, it's really tangible. People leave that workshop feeling like I actually have things, more than one, many things that I can use tomorrow to make an impact or make a difference and start to, shift this a little bit. And I think that's the best part about our workshops is that so many times as educators, we sit in professional development seminars or conferences and you listen and you're like, yeah, I get it. And then you leave and you're like, okay, like now what? What do I do? And it's super important to Brandon and I that anytime we're taking an educator's very valuable time, because there's never enough of it, that like we're going to give them something that's useful that they can actually implement. And that's the feedback that we receive. Like, wow, this really helped. Like, I can use this tomorrow.
But just to like tie it into our journey quick, like to bring it back to the beginning, it's all so super relationship driven for us. So we tell everywhere we go, the first thing we say is that we don't believe in drive-by professional development. Doesn't matter if we're at a conference, the SIS conference in Nashville, just like you said, 300, 400 people, or a small school in the middle of Maine with like 20 some educators, in terms of staff. What we say is, please continue to connect with us. Don't let this, whatever it is, full day, half day, 2 hour, 90-minute session be the only time that we spend together. That would be silly, and that's really kind of back to that alignment piece. That's really how we're driven. It's everything is driven through that relationship lens.
I love like what you're saying in general, and real quick as like a teacher's perspective for a second, like thank you for making professional development not useless. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, cool, a professional development day. Can't wait to hear what we get to learn about. And it's all nothing, or it's all stuff that we learned about in college, or
a product that someone's driving home for you. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like there was one real quick who like really nice person, but they were giving a professional development about using clocks to help people with ADHD. And it was just like, if you put this clock that I made and I'm selling in front of a kid and just draw on it, like 15-minute intervals and stuff, I was like, that's not going to work for everybody.
Just to like let you know, in our presentations, there's clocks everywhere. We have it's written down to the minute what I'm supposed to do.
For you.
Yeah, I never know what's going on, Tanya. That's like my ADHD compensation strategy is Tanya. I could go for hours.
My primary role in this business is to keep him on time and moving along.
We're just reeling him in. We're just
reeling him in. It's really all I do.
Somebody has to do it, though.
I don't think the clock thing works, Jay. I don't think it works.
But I just appreciate the fact that you guys are using like actual tangible things and doing it in a way where it's not just like, okay, if you have a kid with ADHD, here's what you do, but it's more of like, here, do you want something with no technology? Here's a grouping of stuff to try. Do you want with like a little bit? Try this stuff. If you want with like not like all technology, here's all these things that you can try.
I think that's also an important point that I don't know that either one of us spoke to yet, which is we're about making classroom environments accessible to all learners. Like not just students who have a diagnosis and not just students who, and Brandon actually, he does a really good job. I should probably just let you explain it before I butcher it, but he does a really good job like explaining that at any moment in time, any one of us can be struggling with our ability to attend for a million different reasons, right? You go ahead, take the mic, because I'm going to mess.
No, I do get to give it because after I gave a presentation one time and I had someone come up to me and actually this one was in the middle of the presentation. She said, well, after we did the simulation, she was concerned. She meant it like from her heart, right? But she said, she was like, is this just for those kids? And like, for me, it was like, I mean, I just got like struck in the chest, and I was able to explain that there is really no those kids. We've all felt it before where we felt like our ability to attend, our ability to read, write, or listen has been taken from us for any number of different instances. Maybe you didn't sleep the night before, or you're fighting with your spouse, or you've been doom scrolling TikTok or Instagram, for hours beforehand. So it's like what we give are tangible, really great strategies that are effective for all learners in all classrooms. And that's what makes it so that it's not for those kids, really.
This ties nicely into something you said before, like there are no those kids, right? And as soon as you create a relationship with one of those kids, you realize that person's not that kid, that person's just a kid.
Yeah.
Jake and I met working at a school for neurodivergent kids where I also was in that awful clock training and was screaming.
Oh, right.
But there was a kid that we both worked with, and to this day, one of my favorite kids, but like just an absolute asshole. Like, I mean, just one of the most challenging kids, just the kind of kid who'd kick you in the shin to get your attention. And you just be like, there's so many other ways you can do this. But we both realized that this kid, all this kid really wanted was to be loved. The only way he knew how to get love was to piss people off. So we just worked our butts off at creating relationships with him and giving him language to connect with us. And, he's in college now. And it's just like, I look at the man he's become, and it's just like, we played a role in that because we didn't give into those easy narratives, that those one-stop shop. Oh, with kids like this, you just do this. You send them to prison, right? It's like we took the time, invested in the relationship. We put in the sweat equity, and now you've got a kid who's making really positive changes in the world. Like, part of the reason I added speaking and training onto my role as a psychologist is I realized if I could connect to one kid that way and make a change like that, if I can make it to a school or a community or a national organization, then I'm not throwing a pebble into the pond. I'm throwing a boulder into the pond.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things, like, that's an impact. You're changing a lot of things for a lot of people. And I think that's how we change the world.
That's so true. And I mean, won't we continue to find kids in that situation? Because right when their back's against the wall and, they're struggling and they're in front of their class and their teacher is going to call on them to do something without fail, like from forever in time and forever moving forward, when the kid's given a chance to look dumb or look bad, they're always going to make the decision to look bad in front of their peers. It's like, I don't want to look that way, right? So I think we're going to keep finding ourselves here if we continue to put kids in that situation that you were talking about. That's what drives the relationship, right? It really speaks to everything.
So how do you, I don't need you guys to share the secret sauce, right? Because, we want people to pay you guys to come to their organizations and do this in person. But if you were to throw, the elevator pitch at us, like, what's the way in 2025 with schools and education changing so much? What's the way to create those relationships?
Yeah, I mean, the elevator pitch is we have a beautiful year-long professional development called Neuro-Informed UDL, and you are always welcome to join that. No, but that really is what it is. It's, for us, it's taking a neuro-informed approach to creating universal designed classrooms, and that's been turbocharged with artificial intelligence right now. So if you have classroom teachers that are willing to make relationships with their kids and are really equipped with the necessary tools across the board, from, like we say in Embracing Neurodiversity, really no tech teaching strategies, all the way to the use of large language models, and are approaching this classroom with a mindset of UDL, like, that is the secret sauce, right? That's it right now. That's where we are, and where we're heading, and what we're trying to do is put communities in a position to be there, right? To be there, to not feel behind in terms of the tech, to know the small things that they're either doing or not doing that are creating frustration, anxiety, and tension in their learning environments, how to continue or stop doing those things. Like that is what we do, right? Like, we come in and just try to make it so that you can create those spaces in and around every corner of your community. It's not even really just the classrooms. We want that to happen in the clubs. We want everyone comes to our trainings. The dorm parents in the international program, the coaches. It's good human connection, right? Like, that's really the bedrock of all of this. So that's not really an elevator pitch. That turned into like a multi-story thing. That's how it always is with me.
It's just a bigger elevator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tanya, I mean, I think that, we've got some admin level stuff, right? Like, when you're the principal, you sit in the big chair. You got to think about the long-term stuff. You're looking at the horizon, right? So, like, if Brandon is our in the moment, do it, this is awesome, save this kid, I feel like you're taking more of the and this is what it looks like 3 years from now. Mm-hmm. So, like, what's my downstream on this? What does that look like?
I think as a high school principal, my primary role in that part of my professional life is to, make sure that the students that are leaving here are prepared for the world that they're going to inherit as best as humanly possible, right? And so for me, anything that's going to help teachers meet those students where they are and individualize as much as possible their learning journey is really imperative now, and equipping teachers with those tools and those resources and helping them meet students at that level, those individual levels, is what helps to build those relationships. It helps to build that trust. It's when we start to see success. It's where we start to see things moving forward. And so part of, I think, building trust with somebody is being able to see things from their perspective and experience things from their perspective and understand their journey. And I think the series of workshops that we've put together continually bring teachers back to that student mindset and that student experience and that student journey. And, now with the introduction of AI and our newest workshop, where we're really digging into some AI tools, both to help teachers in their personal, professional, administrative, and teaching lives, and then also showing them okay, well, here are some really incredible student uses and how this can really amplify and individualize their learning journey. All of that combined is it's our job. It's our global responsibility. So I don't know if that answered the question, but
it was a great answer to the question. I mean, I've had a lot of roles in the broader education world, but I've never sat in the big chair, right? So I find that I have been the student government advisor and the history club advisor, and I've worked at many summer camps. I'm like, Brandon, he's a version of me who didn't fall in love with craft beer at 19. But I was I've never sat in the big chair. So I'm interested in what this looks like from an admin perspective, because what I find is that teachers want this PD. They're give me the things I need to make my classrooms better, but getting the people who make the decisions, right? The people who write the checks on board as well, seeing how that impacts school community, but also administration, right? Because I'm sure as an administrator, you want to spend more time doing the stuff you got into the gig for, making things better, putting on events, creating a healthy, happy school environment, not all right, here's another incident report, and let's make sure that we're getting extra staffing for this crisis. So invest in your community to make your own job easier, if I'm reading this right.
Yeah. And also, I think the other piece too is it's really important to give teachers the time to build those relationships and implement these tools. And, it's identify what's the most important thing here. And the most important thing should always be the student experience, and students should always be placed at the center. So I would say for any administrator, that's the guidepost. And so what we do, these workshops, they they place students at the center, and they equip teachers with the tools and the time to be able to meet their needs. So it all ties together.
I think we just got our bumper for this episode. I was like, that just sells itself. Thank you, Tanya.
Every once in a while. Believe it or not, Brandon is actually the big picture thinker. I'm more of the like, what do we need to do right now to get all this done? All of these big ideas that he has. I'm the one who's like, okay, but today, what do we need to do today?
2032 in the Summer Olympics. Here's what we'll be doing. Buddy, yes, but
he really is the brains. He says I'm the brains, but he's the brains.
Don't you think it's important to say, though, too, like if you are a teacher still listening at this point, like it's not just the teachers. And that's why we developed the student workshop, too. We have an executive function student workshop that really runs kind of parallel in its design, where the students go first through simulation so that they, one great one is to experience multitasking, right? To think that multitasking is something that can be accomplished and effective. And it's like once you're able to put the students through that, and that they can see on the other side the debrief, which is always what follows after we do a simulation. The students say the most deep things about that experience. Like you can really tell. And even in the last school we did in Orlando, afterwards, we did the student workshop first and then the teachers second. And the teachers were telling us that the students were coming, mentioning some of the things like about sleep later on that night and about learning and like working memory. And, they're interested in their learning journey. I just think sometimes like helping them be bought in too, to just kind of continue that student experience thing that Tanya was saying. It is important that the students are kind of getting that same level of training at the same time, right? Like everybody's just kind of working at this thing together, and you can kind of turbocharge the learning experience.
I've got a question for you from that might be a little complicated in a sense, but like, I just completely blanked on the question. Sorry.
That is complicated.
Happens to me 7 times a day.
It was like, what advice would you give for the students that are struggling a lot with the fact that they've fallen behind in a sense since COVID, the whole endeavor there and like online learning and whatnot, to then be in the classroom and then have the general like state curriculum having to hold them to that higher level, where it's, if I'm in 9th grade but I didn't care about school at all throughout all of COVID, and I was, I turned my camera off on Zoom and I just played video games the whole time for the next 2-3 years, like those kids are already so behind, and then having to still be held to that standard, like how does that end up playing a factor in the workshops that you do, what students look at, what they need, what you're seeing from them at all?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and probably pretty complicated. I think we look at the answer to that is how we view most things through like situational awareness, right? That's by relationship that we would make with family and or kid. And in most of those situations, one of the main things that we really advocate, we have a great relationship with psychologists in our area that for us, it's around getting neuropsych testing that's really from an incredible, valid source that speaks to reliable data around your child's learner profile. And from there, Tanya and I or people like us that can really dissect that report for not just the family, right? For the teachers that are involved as well, because there could be any number of things at play here, right? Like placement, like, you could go on for days at the number of different things that could be at play. So what we want is what's called targeted intervention. We need to know that we're running after the right target. So traditionally what happens is by getting an evaluation like that, we're able to tell what it is that we need to do. Because I think that like what your conversation is coming from is for any reason, right? The way I'm taking this is, and how parents contact us, and it's the beginning of like blah, 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 COVID, whatever it is. I just, my kid's struggling. These things are happening. They're not liking school anymore, self-sabotage, whatever it is, insert COVID or not. It's really like, we're at a crux point and we need to do something about it. So what Tony and I advocate for is reliable data and then targeted intervention. And you're really able to see some great success from that, as long as all those pieces fall into place. Does that answer it a little bit? Go ahead, too.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think absolutely. And to add to that, I think schools need to do the same, right? Targeted intervention and action planning. And so from that perspective, really looking at their curriculum and identifying the skills that, are needed, and looking at those students individually and identifying like where are the gaps in learning and what are the most essential skills, and focusing on the skills over the content, right? Because I think more and more schools have been doing that over the years anyway. I mean, that's kind of been a trend. We know that that's sound, but yeah, I'm absolutely, for sure, really that targeted intervention, both at the family and student level, and that targeted decision making at the curriculum level.
Which at the schools, I think right now, what you're seeing a lot of schools doing, that means is taking a good and hard look at their accommodations that they offer, and give or take some level of program that may or may not exist, an executive functioning course, like mental health, like what ways and what means of support are we offering students across like all levels?
And to take that even a step further, right? Like, schools have traditionally differentiated content across levels, but we can also differentiate skills across different levels, right? Like, if I'm coaching basketball, I don't teach the kindergartners to dunk. I mean, unless you got like LeBron James Jr., I mean, probably fine. But like, yeah, like you're focusing on dribbling when you're in kindergarten, and you're maybe passing in elementary school, and three-man weave in middle school, and then dunking in threes in high school. Like, there's a logical thing. But what you just said is like, we're preparing our kids for the world of tomorrow, not the world of yesterday. And skills are evergreen. Knowledge, content, rapidly ages, right? It depreciates when you drive it off the lot. So like, that's a thing every school needs to hear. Every educator needs to hear that. And to your point, I think a lot of them are already doing it. I think having you guys in gives them permission to do it more, right? It's like, see, these very smart people, they said I'm right. So
I'll just add to that real quick. Like even the students see through it all too, is the other hard part. Like they realize that the content is either behind or outdated or something, and they're like, why are we learning this?
Yeah.
Like, why do I care about this? Why are you telling me this? Why are we wasting our time on this right now?
Yeah.
And they have access to it at their fingertips. So it's not, they no longer need to, reproduce that on September 27th at 10 a.m. What they need to do is debate that information, synthesize it, validate it, evaluate it. And that's really what Tanya's talking about right there, that skills over that necessary kind of content regurgitation. But Jake, I have to say this, because the one piece that we left out was the kid in your question. And the answer to the kid part is to see the long view. So if you are that kid in that situation, to know that like we all are late bloomers in some area, right? And that's okay. And that there's so much help along the way in terms of like positive role models, technology, artificial intelligence, that everything's going to be okay, and that if you can play that long game and not be, a parent with a toddler where you're kind of comparing, is my kid walking, is your kid walking, or did you learn this? And just see the long view, and that late bloomers happen, and that it'll all be all right. So I always have to speak to the kid.
I mean, I love it. Well, then let's shift gears a little bit. Since we have two awesome guests, it probably will take twice as long to answer our final questions. We never budget enough time for these as it is. So now it's like, no, we got to do it. All right. So Jake and I will each ask both of you a wrap-up question, and then we will turn the floor over to you guys. You can send our listeners home with a little nugget of knowledge. Jake, you want to take the lead?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start with Tanya, actually, and then we'll go to Brandon. I'm sorry.
Okay. You're giving him more time to think.
Yeah, a little bit. What's your favorite word and why?
Oh my goodness.
I'm so glad you started with Tanya.
This is horrible. The pressure is like
deep press.
Can be a couple words or a phrase.
Yeah, Brandon, I'm going to start with you, so don't be too grateful.
I don't know. Oh my
I'm
gosh.
so nervous.
Okay. My favorite word.
Like how Brandon's like in hard think mode right now.
I am, just in case like he's like, what's your favorite word? I don't know what mine is.
I've really never thought about that before. So
Yeah, that's a great question, Jake. Like it really is a great question. Favorite word is a good one.
it really is.
Appreciate that.
If I had to pick a word, given that I've never thought about it before, but if I have to pick a word that's coming to mind right now, like a word that makes me feel good is possibilities. And I think the reason that I'm picking that word is what's coming to mind is because when we get the chance to work with a group of teachers, or when we get a chance to work with a group of kids, or when we develop a new idea that we get jazzed up about, or when something cool happens in a school environment, the possibilities like are endless of like what that could do for a kid, what that could do for their self-esteem, like what that could do for their future, what that could do for their sense of self. And so I like the word possibilities because
Of the possibilities for it.
it's exciting, and it's like it's calm. It's like there's a whole world out there of exciting, incredible things we can do if we just like care about each other and like keep those kids at the center of our focus.
Good answer. I don't know what I would have done there.
Absolutely. It's a great answer. And Brandon's going to have to follow that up. And
Yeah.
what his favorite word?
He's been sitting there right now looking up words.
What's the longest word in the English dictionary?
Yeah. I'm praying he doesn't ask me that question, really. That's what's happening.
That is the question for you, though, is Brandon, what's your favorite word and why?
Oh, my goodness. Is it really? Okay.
Yeah.
You weren't preparing for that whole time.
No, I thought he said we were going to do it. I'm sorry. Yeah. No. Oh, that's hysterical. No, look, I mean, I'll do it quick. It doesn't have to be long. For me, it's action. I'm driven through do. Like I'm way more Tigger than I am Eeyore. And I think you learn more by doing, right? And then receiving kind of feedback through that process. So I'm much more of an action-oriented person. That's kind of like what comes to mind right now.
I like it. That was good.
And the perfect part is that it blends together because there's so many possibilities with
Hey, boom, 4-person podcast connection.
And if we cut out all the thinking, it's going to sound like you
Laying this.
energy. All right. So this question, Brandon, we're going to keep you in the hot seat.
Okay.
It's going to be a little different. If you could have one superhero on speed dial, who would it be and why?
That's a good one. One superhero on speed dial and why?
no pressure. High pressure, though.
You know what's funny about it is everyone, like, if you know me, I am not like a super, like I can barely.
Have you seen one Marvel movie or anything? No, I don't.
I don't know the difference between Marvel or DC or any of that stuff. Everybody makes fun of me for it. Look, if I could have one superhero on speed dial.
You can make one up.
No, I don't have to make one up. Look, my favorite superhero forever has been Batman because of his story. So I think for me, that would be the person that I would have on speed dial. I like how he operates, right? Like how you weren't sure who he was, how, he would come and kind of support you, but, do it from a position where, it would allow you to not really know who he was and kind of hide in the background. I'm all right with that. I like Batman.
Love it. All right. Tanya?
Same question.
Yes.
All right. I guess I would say, given that I don't know a lot of superheroes either, but I would probably say Yoda. Does that count? Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would definitely say Yoda, the wisdom that comes with experience and, kind of that guide in life. So I'd say Yoda.
A superhero I am.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't even plan that. That is something.
Yoda.
It's much better than my Batman voice. it's really, I mean, like, not to keep banging the synergy drum, but like Batman is a man of action and Yoda shows the power of imagination and belief. I mean, it really, like, you guys are so aligned.
Good call.
For your own things, but then also it just shows you why you guys are a great team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Wow. All right. So what would you like to send our audience home with? What's a parting words of wisdom?
And where they can find you.
My parting words of wisdom are that it would mean the world for us if we could have the opportunity to create a relationship with you, whoever you are and wherever you are. If you're a student struggling, if you're a teacher that needs a little bit of support, if you're an administrator struggling to get through all the tasks that you have in a day, or if you're a parent that just received a diagnosis that feels like it's the end of the world, you're exactly who we want to make a relationship. And we really, really hope that you reach out to us. And if you were to reach out to us, the place that you would find us would be at bgdifference.com. And really there you can get a great understanding of who we are as educators and the services that we offer and how to get in contact with us. And I really implore you to do that because it would really mean the world to us.
And I would just say to all of you, to the teachers, to the kids, to the parents, like, don't give up. There is support out there. We are all in this together, this learning journey, this life journey. Like, there's tools, there's support, there's people, working together to create those relationships and keep those kids at the center of our work and our efforts. It's what we're all about. So just keep moving.
I mean, that's a great thing to wrap up on. And I think it's a real powerful message for our listeners to take home, is that all the ideas and plans and best beliefs in the world, they're important, but they mean more when we connect them to action. Mm-hmm. And if you can't do that action yourself, I mean, there's no shame with going outside your organization to bring in people who are going to light that fire and give you the toolbox to say, like, here's how you go. We know you want to change the world. Let's help you change it faster and better, right? Let's do that.
One kid at a time. Like, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. So bgdifference.com. We've got that. Jake, have we covered all of our boxes for today?
Yeah, we have. Absolutely.
Very good.
Bravo.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm fired up. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. Well, I'm definitely going to bring this energy to my camp keynote on Monday. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Let's go. But for all of us here at Nerding Out on Neurodiversity, thank you for enjoying this podcast episode with us, learning from us. We love having you guys. To Tanya and Brandon, thank you for being amazing guests. You guys are awesome. For those of you out there, keep learning, keep enjoying life. Jake, anything you want to say goodbye?
Just thank you, Tanya and Brandon, for coming on and just sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, everything. It was fantastic. And I definitely appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. It was really fun.
Yeah, thank you to you both and to your wife, Jake, for sure, for securing that connection. Man, this has been an incredible time.
Absolutely. And it's going to be an ongoing connection, too.
Yes, it is.
That's awesome. We love that.
You're going to be sick of us soon enough.
No way. It'd be me that you'd be. That's usually what happens. Everyone's usually gets sick of me. So that's the one.
To challenge them.
Thank you, guys.
All right. You guys have an awesome rest of the day, awesome weekend, and please stay in touch, right? I think there's a lot of work we can do to amplify each other, and we're all serving the same kids. So, like, let's go keep changing the world, yeah?
We love that. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's great.
Yeah.
Podcast ever. You did great.
First podcast.
First podcast. But otherwise, have a great weekend, and we'll certainly talk soon, all right?
Awesome. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Nerding Out on Neurodiversity is brought to you by Dr. Matt Zakreski and the team at the Neurodiversity Collective. To learn more about the Neurodiversity Collective or to be a guest on the podcast, please visit our website at www.theneurodversitycollective.com/podcast. Audio and production by Jake Noonan. Show your support by subscribing, leaving a 5-star review, and telling your friends about us. Our Instagram and social media handles are at #NoonPodcast podcast. Your support is appreciated and keeps us going. All discussions presented on this podcast are strictly for informational purposes, awareness, and understanding. The advice presented is not and should not be considered to be therapeutic in nature. If you have any mental health questions, please contact your provider. All rights reserved.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.